Today, I'll be interviewing Paula Gooler. She's based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm just so thrilled to be interviewing her. I consider Paula one of the leaders in the field of steel mace, both steel mace vinyasa and steel mace flow, and just embodied movement coaching. I actually have a special story about Paula. Paula came to my very first seminar. She flew all the way out to Bellingham when I launched my first kinesiology yoga program. And we've stayed in touch ever since online. And she also came out and trained with us in Thailand with Mark Wildman and myself, training staff and clubs and Mace. And so she's really been studying these modalities for a very long time, which really makes her a leader in this field. Paula, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, your background, and just tell us a little bit more about you and your profession.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Seminar. Fun to be here. I came to, and I'm going to call it movement, when I had my second son. So this was about 15 years ago. And I initiated my journey into movement with kettlebell training. And it was just like life-changing in that I remembered that my body needed to be part of my life experience. It wasn't something that I could just, carry along with me, but not be taken care of and present with. And so a couple years into training with the kettlebell, I decided I needed to get certified so that I could continue doing it as much as I wanted to and get paid while doing it. And so I came into strength training and movement with kettlebells, and then I leaned into it with CST, circular strength training, with Scott Sunnin, which you were a part of that as well. And that's how we ended up connecting with your club bell yoga, i.e. your kinesiology yoga. And so I have been teaching consistently for the past 13 years, always focused on strength training. And later in my career, I started getting more interested in flow work, but I didn't really have it quite clear. You had introduced it to me, through FlowFit, or Scott as well. And it's like, it was just starting to be something that I understood in my system. And so anyway, I was working that way. I was teaching classes, then I was focusing on just privates, working out of other people's homes. Actually, I would travel to other people's homes, which is a great way to get started, but not recommended to stay in that position. And I understood myself as being a coach, but there was a missing element that I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And as I was only teaching privates, it started becoming very isolating, and I didn't have a community to feel like any resonance with, or really understand what I was doing, in the sense that where was I going with my training and what I was teaching people. And so I, of course, through our connection through social media, which is one of those elements in our life that we love to hate, but really need them in order to progress or evolve some professional relationships. And it was really vital for me to be seeing the work that you were doing with the steel mace. And I was very reluctant to get into the steel mace training, because with the club bell work that I did, it already felt so esoteric to people. And the kettlebell now is popular, but back then kettlebell was not as popular. So that also was, very specific training tool. And I thought, oh my God, if I incorporate steel mace, that I'll lose people. But I needed something, and I felt like I needed it for myself, my own personal development, but I also needed it for my business, because it felt like there wasn't a concreteness of what I was offering to my clients, even though I had happy clients. It's not that I didn't. I just felt there was something missing. So I came to you. I did your program, your 100-hour steel mace vinyasa certification. And it just shifted completely the way I work with my clients, what I offer, why I offer what I offer. And I feel like if I could describe what is different from how I used to work to how I work now, is there's more intention and more education that I provide to my clients. And I try to teach them that, yes, we're moving to get fit and to look better, but that's really not the core of why we're moving. And the work that I did with you, Summer, was, it really nurtured that missing element. And I feel like that is what distinguishes me now to how I was a couple years ago.
Wow.
And yeah.
I see that in you so much. And it's really this piece of embodiment, like embodying the practice, embodying flow state, like living it as a lifestyle, talking about it, like dialoguing about it. I remember
Mhm,
specifically when you launched your first round of metamorphosis that
mhm,
I think you shared this summer, maybe it was on social media, just
mhm,
picked it up
mhm,
somewhere in the ethers. But your students' feedback was that they really liked the journaling piece and the reflection prompts and talking
mhm.
about flow state. And that was like a new edge for you at that time. And now it's probably pretty normalized. But do you remember that first
Oh,
round, like
absolutely.
being able to
Yeah.
like dialogue about theory and things like that?
Yes. Yeah. 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 And what's interesting is that I've had that in me. Like, I've been doing it and I've been practicing it, but I didn't really have, I wasn't articulating it to myself even. And so I couldn't articulate that to clients. Um, that embodied movement is so different than just, pushing and pulling weights or lifting weights. Um, it's the experience lends itself to taking it off the mat and the way you behave out in the world. And I think that is the part that people do appreciate when they work with me, that they realize what, through the writing, the reflection, which can be uncomfortable sometimes. You're like, I didn't come to a workout class to get deep about myself. But when you initiate feeling one way and then you walk away feeling a different way, and you're aware to that, since those sensations physically and emotionally, it it just shifts the way you function throughout your day. And not that it's like that all the time. You have to constantly redo that for yourself every day. Myself, my client, we all, it's not like you do it once and then, oh, everything's so wonderful. It's a constant
Why they call it a movement practice. It's
practice.
not a
Exactly.
movement perfect, it's a movement practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've definitely
Yeah.
seen Paula transition into holistic movement coach and really educator and really stepping into the seat of educator and coach over the years. And it's been just
Mhm.
such a pleasure. My next question for you
Thank you.
is,
Mhm.
could recall back when you sought out the 100-hour Mace Vinyasa teacher training, which is now like
Mhm.
embedded inside of Flow Coach Accelerator.
Mhm.
What is it that you were looking for as far as like business support? Because I remember you were working like full time at your other family business,
Mhm.
really wanted to
Mhm.
transition into building this business. Can you kind of just reflect back on
Yeah.
where you were at then and what you were looking for, what was missing?
Yeah. Um, well, I definitely gained tools with you, like specific tools, which I think is really valuable. It's not just like go out there and get yourself a website, and you're very clear and specific about how you can do it. I'm not saying I did all of it. I did some of it, and but the specificity is really important for anybody who's considering doing the program with you. Um, it's like tangible tools to work with. Um, and I guess your question is, what was I looking for? I really needed self-confidence to dive deeper into the work that I wanted to do and to offer, and make it a real viable business, not just like this side gig or a passion project or a hobby that I made a little bit of money off of. I I was ready to make a statement with my work and my offerings, and I the support that I got with you was what I needed for that. It helped build my self-confidence around what I was doing. And I had tools that I could use, and things that I really didn't want to do that I was reluctant to do, but working with you made me do it. For example, having all my offerings be available via Zoom and recording them. And I was like, no, I don't want to be doing that. And I have kept a lot of clients that way and brought new ones in because they don't have to be in person. And with the experience through COVID, it's so much more accessible to people, and they can really wrap their heads around having their training done at home and being educated through the screen.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, online learning is projected to continue to be on the rise, so it's such a perfect time to get in there and get comfortable in front of the camera. I think of Zoom as like training wheels for when you want to produce like high level video content courses with like professional audio, professional video,
Mm-hmm.
get a gimbal in
Mm-hmm.
there. It's like all this work that we're doing just being on Zoom is like we're logging in those practice hours so that we
Yeah.
create like our signature digital courses that live on forever. They're like legacy programs that we can have forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See for
Mm-hmm.
you, Paula, in the
That's
future.
it.
So
Yeah.
I would love to just hear about the various offerings that you've created since graduation. I think you probably graduated over a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
No, I think it's been a year and a few months. I think it was October of last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, tell us about
well,
your
yeah. So the program that I put together for the certification was, I named it the Metamorphosis series, and that continues to live. It is a 12-week program. I have dialed it back and made it an 8-week program. I play with that. Sometimes it's 8 weeks, meeting 3 times a week, or 12 weeks, meeting twice a week. Um, and that is a strength and flow state based program that gets you from the ground up, um, with the skills and the technique to get you into steel mace flow work, by the end of it. And when I offer it to people, I don't offer it to total novices or people who are athletes already. Anybody really could get a lot out of it, no matter what level you're at. So it's a pretty open program in that sense, because most people have never picked up a steel mace. So even if you're an athlete, it takes understanding. Um, so that is my big kind of consistent program that I've been offering. And within that program, it's like a deep dive within, very similar to the work that you did, where there's the journaling and the reflecting and being mindful about getting your active recovery in. And let me tell you, it is so challenging to get people to get their active recovery in. I feel like I focus on that conversation with people more than like getting their, the nitty gritty part of the training work in. And it's an interesting dialogue with clients about that and participants. And we keep bringing it up over and over again. And people see the results when they do take, aware active recovery, because we are doing active recovery throughout the day in different ways, but it's the presence that makes it very different. So I have the Metamorphosis series, and then I've played with some different programs, but right now I'm leading with a Meta Strong program, which was something that you had recommended. And I was like, oh, light bulb, of course, that makes so much sense. And now it's like, I can do so many things with that. It's not flow state based at all. It's more drill oriented and learning how to hold tension with the steel mace. And so that's fun. We just had the first class this morning for the new 6-week series that I have. And what's fun is that some people like to do the strong, and they couple it with my other program that I'm offering called Meta Rise, which is really building a sequence, almost like a choreography, although it evolves as we go through class for the whole 6 weeks. And it's getting people to become so, at this point, when they take this class, they have done the Metamorphosis series 2 or 3 times, and they can land and flow a little bit easier. They don't have to think about how to do the movement. They can actually just do the movement. And and then we connect the movements and build beautiful sequences that are they're just like a gateway into getting into flow state. And then we just talk about how we apply that again off the mat as well. And so those are the two, or rather the three programs that I'm offering currently, along with my privates. So it's a lot, and I'm still trying to have Summer's voice in the back of my head, like, is this the right way to do it? Are you going to be able to scale this? So it's it's a process, and that I think that is one thing that I would, and it's probably will answer one of your questions here, that for those who are considering taking the program, it's not going to change their business from one day to the next, but it does gradually happen. And if you are one of those persons that can apply all the changes right away, and like that's your one focus, and you don't have another job, and you can do that, that might be great. But having a slower application, or realizing later, like, oh, I actually did apply all those things, and I did follow the method that Summer was suggesting, and like it's just a process. So patience is a really important thing. I mean, in hindsight, when I look back at what this year and a half has been like, I'm like, wow, I am proud of myself. Am I where I want to be? No, there's always, that's what makes me a high performer, is that there's always another place I want to go. But it's been a lot of growth this past year and a half. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to recap. So you have
Mm-hmm.
three signature programs. The big signature program is the Metamorphosis, and then you have two separate offerings that are also
Mm-hmm.
programs, and they have specific launch dates because you take people through a sequence. Like there's no drop-ins,
Yes,
right? You have to do.
exactly. I don't do drop-in classes at all, and I do progressive programs. So people have to start at the beginning. And does it eliminate a lot of people? Yeah, it does actually eliminate a lot of people. But I've made the decision, with your help, that those are the people that I want to work with, because dabbling is exhausting to me. It's just that, having a person drop into a class where there's 4 or 5 other people that have been doing it, and then you have to kind of like digress so that the person who's new can catch up, and it's not fair for the other people who have been committed to a practice.
I love it. I love that you set
Yeah.
that boundary, and I'm sure there's other ways that you get people in, but it's really asking the client to make a decision to commit, and it's raising the bar. And yes, there'll be some people that that's just not for them, but fine, like
Mm-hmm.
the online course later on when it's published, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
not until the next date that it rolls out. But I think it's great that you've established that boundary. I wouldn't let someone come in on day 3 of a retreat where we're all doing
right.
like staff fighting and be like, yeah, sure,
Mm-hmm.
jump in, even though everyone else has already done, hours and hours.
Right.
So it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a bit about your personal training, like packages. How has that shifted since you've completed the 100 hours to Mace, Vinyasa and Flow Coach Accelerator? Like, do you do program design for folks? Have you raised your prices? Like, what's your clientele look like? Are you fully booked? Like, kind of walk me.
Yes. Yes, I'm fully booked, um, which is also where I'm trying to apply some of the tools that you've given me, and not just be the face to face person with the client. Um, but I really enjoy working one on one with people and being physically with them, or even at live Zoom with them. And I do program design for each specific client, but I don't have to rewrite the book. When I do an assessment on them, I can kind of, and that with that assessment comes a discussion of their goals and their hopes. And, I find that really, okay, so I'm in sales, and to get a person to articulate what they are looking for to purchase is just like trying to get a person to articulate what they want out of a fitness experience or a movement experience. Uh, we might vaguely be thinking about it, but we're not necessarily clear about what we want. So that's been a really good practice with my clients. And they they might say, oh, I just I want to go gung-ho, and I want to get really strong really fast, and then you realize they can barely bend over, and educating a lot of, I feel more well equipped now to, and it's funny because since I have been personal training for many years, I feel a lot more confident about saying, okay, this is what you want, but this is how we're going to do it first. Whereas I think before I was like, okay, well, I better make sure I give them what they want, even though I don't necessarily think that's what their body needs, but I want to make sure they're happy. So that has shifted in my personal training. And again, I also have my parameters. I won't work with people once a week or, they have to commit also to a regularity, a certain amount of times a week. And that's been really great for my finances, but it has also been really great for them that they know that when they're going to work with me that they're committed. And I don't know. I think when you are a personal trainer, there is this kind of like, well, you're my personal trainer, so you can, I'm going to lead the way, and you're just gonna, I'm paying you, and you're just going to come with me. But it's not like that, and it, it's it makes it more valuable for both parties, honestly.
Yeah, it's stepping
Hmm.
into the seat of coach and not like servant. I used to
Yes.
work with
Hmm.
very wealthy individuals in the Upper East Side of New York, and I went from being like well respected here in my little small town to I was the
Hmm.
help. And I
Yeah.
think there's this like weird sort of untalked about thing in the personal training culture that when
Hmm.
people hire a person that they own our time. And
Yes.
I think with Flow Coach Accelerator, my hope is that we build all these systems and the professionalism and the way we onboard people and the way we do our functional movement screen and
Hmm.
program design, that we truly are stepping up as service providers and that we ought to be treated as such. And I
Hmm.
see you embodying that. Sounds like
Hmm. Hmm.
shifting the way that you were doing things before to now
Yeah.
owning it. It's like, this is how I work. We
Hmm.
work together. This is the
Yeah.
way that we're going to work. And I
Yeah. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yes.
What are you looking forward to most in 2025
Mm.
business and in your community that you're
In okay, well, I am hoping to find my own studio space. It's going to take it. I have not actively been doing it because what I have has been functioning, but my hope is to find my own studio space and continue. Um, I want to continue evolving the steel mace culture, not just here in Santa Fe, but around in the maybe regionally or I'm still working on the algorithm, getting my information out there further. But um, yeah, I am very committed to continuing to build this movement culture, this flow state based steel mace culture. Um, and I have a lot of travel plans. So I'm really looking forward to just personally developing my own skills with the steel mace and other movement. Like my goal is to go into some martial arts now. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go, but I see it um, informing some steel mace work in the future as well. Uh, yeah, so that's where I'm at for 2025. I think it's going to be a strong year, a good year.
I know I can already feel the energy. It's like week one, boom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Paula and I were just chatting about her potentially hosting a level one seminar, Miss Vinyasa level one in November, but her schedule's already packed for the whole year too. Kudos to you for scheduling ahead of time.
Yeah.
Last question, what would you tell
Mhm.
somebody that's on the fence about joining Flow Coach Accelerator?
Okay. Um, my first thing that I would say is do it. Don't hesitate. It might seem like, oh, I don't know if it's the right time to invest this kind of money into my uh, skill set or in my education. But I say 100%, it is so worth it. Things that have happened for me because of the program that I did with you, Summer, is that it has, and this might just be where I am in my age in life or that my kids are grown up, but it sparked curiosity in me that was really dead. And it's not like I seemed disinteresting to other people. I was functioning very well, but inside I really didn't have that. I mean, curiosity is the best word that I can use. This like hunger for more education and like connecting the dots and like literally, I mean, flow state helps you use bilateral thinking, and that just, I feel like I've been rewired, so to speak. And that has to do with doing the program, because that you offer different elements like the somatic work, the uh, the work that you did, the eye. Do you remember the eye
Exercises, yeah.
exercise you did? Yes, you just incorporate these other things that it just expanded my mind, and like I knew that I wanted this. I just didn't know where to get it or what it is that I wanted. Just like I try to get my clients to express to me what they need or what their goals are. I was feeling the same way. I didn't really have that clarity. So business wise, it is really supportive that you're not going to lose out by doing this program with Summer. But for my own personal nourishment, it was so valuable. And so if you're on the fence about it, give me a call and I will tell you what I think. And I have to say that you're very aggressive is not the word, but business assertive. And I think that is an element that's missing in a lot of the certifications. They're like, okay, now you're trained up, you know how to do this. Good luck. And I think that business element can be daunting to some people who are new to coaching. For me, I've been doing it for a while, so I understand that I needed that push. And for newer people who have never been coaching, they might feel like, oh, I don't know if I need this. It's too much information. But it will always be valuable. You will apply it in different ways in your life if it's not to your coaching, but it's something that is necessary to talk about and bring to the table. And I have to say, the first certification that I did with you, the Club Bell Yoga or kinesiology yoga, you really taught us to teach, which in a lot of certifications, sometimes there's no time to really hear somebody else teaching. Like, okay, now you take us through something. And you did very simple exercises like, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to throw out all the words that are synonyms for lifting. What are all the ways to say lifting? Or, contract, just different. And that's so useful. One of the things that I have for my metamorphosis, which was an influence of yours, is I will have people, write down a few words that describe their physical sense at the moment and their physical and emotional spaces. And I would just see people like totally blank. And these are intelligent people, okay? It's not like they're not. So I put together a cheat sheet with all these words, and they were just like, oh, this is amazing. The words, they describe exactly how I'm feeling. And anyway, those are little pieces that I've learned from working with you, and they make for just a better coaching experience for your clients.
Yeah, I'm definitely big on that, is like teaching coaches how to actually coach movement, and it's through being
Mm-hmm.
able to communicate it clearly and efficiently, but also like being
Mm-hmm.
able to talk about sensation. And I think
Mm-hmm.
hit the nail on the head. Like a lot of people, when you first ask them to tune into the felt sense, they don't have any words for that, at
Mm-hmm.
first, because they have to be taught and educated and
Yeah.
do it, and that it's like safe to talk about it. And like, what is sensation?
Yes.
A feeling versus an emotion. But I think in the
Yeah.
field that we're in, like that's really what people are craving and are hungry for. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why your program is so successful, is you're on the cutting edge of like merging this like ancient weaponry and this flow state
Mm-hmm.
with actual like practical application. So I'm just so
Mm-hmm.
excited to see your
Mm-hmm.
program continue to grow and flourish. I know you talked about
Thank you.
having like a retreat someday, which I'm excited
Hmm.
for that. Where can we find your work? What's your Instagram handle and any other websites you might have?
Okay, my website is Compass 505, but the name of my business officially is Compass Strength and Wellness. That wasn't available for a website. I was surprised. So compass505.com is my website. My Instagram handle continues to be my name, Paula Gooler. And that's it. That's
Awesome.
it. That's where you can find me. Yeah.
Definitely go check out Paula. Give her a follow on Instagram if you want to stay inspired. She's always putting up a lot of amazing content, like just new flows. She's always
Mhm.
iterating, developing the work, and continuing to showcase it with her students. And it's been such an honor to interview you. Thank you for sharing your experience, Paula.
Thank you.
Connecting in person next
Um,
together.
yes, yes. I'm very grateful. And yeah, if anybody would like to discuss whether or not you should do the program, please reach out to me. Okay.